Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles Sabansi, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. Today, we got a pretty interesting show for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and check out the Dreamers Pro podcast we have pinned below. Let me get into this topic. It seems like a lot of people don't like Stephen A. Smith, even some of his fellow New Yorkers. Now, some of you guys are like, well, excuse me, what are you talking about? Well, as you guys know, Stephen A. Smith is a New Yorker. He's from Queens, and he calls himself a New York Knicks fan, right? He likes to say he's very happy when the Knicks are doing well. But as you guys know, the Knicks have been going through a little bit of turbulence right now. They lost 4 of their last games, and they're 5-5 out of their last 10, and they lost Julius Randle. So that was a pretty big blow to what those guys were trying to do there. So what happened? I'm going through the internet today, and I see a clip that's recommended to me from Dan Le Batard's channel. Now, if you know anything about Dan Le Batard and Stephen A. Smith, they've kind of had their back and forths over the last few months. Now, they kind of have like this bittersweet relationship, love-hate relationship, I guess you would say. So I was watching, and as I was going through it, I came across a clip. And in this clip, you see this guy who I was unaware of at the time, who actually turned out to be, a comedian, as a matter of fact, and his name is Sam Morrill, who also is a huge New York Knicks fan, and he's a New Yorker. So they're talking, and then all of a sudden, this guy just starts going off on Stephen A. Smith, talking about his takes are horrible. He doesn't watch the Knicks. He needs to stop talking and all. I'm like, God, I'm like, damn, what happened? So for those of you who didn't hear what this gentleman had to say, we want to play it for you now, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
I think Hardenstein defensively, like if you watch basketball, like that's why I know Stephen A. Smith doesn't watch basketball. When he goes, some guy named Hardenstein, shut up, Stephen A. Watch an actual game before you discredit the blue-collar work ethic of the great Isaiah Hardenstein, who has been the glue this year, and I only hope we can find the money to re-sign him.
You really don't like Stephen A. Smith's Knicks analysis, do you?
He's a curse to the franchise. Stop rooting for us. I don't want you on our side. Anytime he calls a game, we lose. Go away.
I like that you called out Stephen A. when Dan was like, Hartenstein, some guy named Hartenstein.
That pissed me off. That really pissed me off.
Well, take out Le Batard, man.
No, but I prefaced it by saying I know how much he loves Hartenstein, and I know that America is laughing at the idea that would be the difference against the Celtics. I'm not even sure that you would dispute that would be America's appraisal, not necessarily basketball people's appraisal.
Well, maybe America's got to get on the Hardenstein page like I am, because this guy's doing all the dirty work. I love this guy. Tibbs reinvented his game. He was like a stretch 5 on the Clippers. He comes here, he becomes like a badass. I'm just worried. He's sitting out now with like a sore Achilles, and I'm like, what the hell is that? I don't know what a sore Achilles is, but that scares the hell out of me. So rest till you're 100,
Let's play this sound to agitate Sam Morrill.
I respectfully disagree. And we all know that how I feel about my Knicks, but they're 26th in defensive efficiency rating. Mitchell Robinson is out. Jericho Sims is out. So I got to deal with some dude named Hartenstein.
Who's been playing with
effort.
Stephen A.
He never shortchanges you with effort. I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
Yeah, you are disrespectful. Some guy. This dude's an NBA player. So I have to listen to some guy named Stephen A. Smith who doesn't know what he's talking about. And how could ESPN get any worse? Like, I'm just like, dude, replace him with like RJ or JJ or someone who knows what they're talking about. And thank God for Kendrick Perkins, who's becoming, a surprising ally to Knicks Twitter and Knicks fan base. I never thought I'd find the day where I love Kendrick Perkins, but this guy finally gives us props. No, TNT, I love those guys, but they won't give the Knicks props. They won't give Jalen Brunson props. Like, I don't know what Kenny Smith has against New York, being a New York guy, but like, get over it, dude. We're here. No one wants us in the playoffs. We just got to get healthy.
Brutal! Who are the sports analysts that make you angriest?
Stephen A's up there. I like most. I mean, look, I don't watch enough to like. I watch Breen and Walt Frazier, so I have the two best in the game calling for my Knicks. I love Kenny Albert. I love the Knicks rotation. I like Alan Hahn a lot. Any of those guys are great. The ones who make me angry, Stephen A. Doris Burke bugs me. I got to be honest. I don't know. Like, stop riding Jason Tatum's jock this hard. It's unbelievable. It's like, are you from Southie? Did I miss something? I wish there was a way to mute her and I could just listen to Mike Breen. Honestly.
So basically, you see
she's so anti-Knicks.
No one has an issue with Doris Burke.
No one does. But you're biased. You have so much Knicks bias, and you're so mad at the media in general for laughing at the Knicks for 25 years.
So you heard what the gentleman had to say. Here are my thoughts. Is it possible that Stephen A. Smith doesn't watch all the Knicks games? Well, sure. I think the reason that would be is because maybe the guy is so busy. The guy seems to be someone that works all day. He has a lot of commitments. So maybe by the time he gets home, and maybe at the time that he's working, it would be very difficult for him to catch some of those Knicks games, right? I'm assuming. So you also look at time zones. Maybe he's on the West Coast. Things are a little bit different. So I can understand that. And I don't think anybody covering sports watches all the games. You may pick a few games that you want to watch. You can say, I want to watch basketball every night, but you ain't watching all the games. You better believe that. So I don't think that there's anyone out there covering sports that says, oh, I watch all the games, unless you have no other life outside of what you do. Most people have lives. You go out, you go to the gym, you go to eat, you go out to, you do other things. You have a family, you have friends. So it's impossible. In my case, I try to watch some games, but because of the time zone difference, I'm not staying up at 4 o'clock in the morning to start watching a game that starts at 10 p.m. It's not going to happen. Like, that's just stupid, because then it's going to bleed into my work and all that. That's stupid. So there are other reasons why certain people don't watch. So I understand that. He brought up some other points about him not really knowing the Knicks. Listen, Stephen A. Smith is one of the resident New Yorkers on ESPN. He has to hype up the Knicks. And I think the way that he talks about the Knicks is just... He's also Stephen A. Smith is also in the business of entertainment, right? You also have to be entertaining in the way that he does it. So sometimes does he over embellish? Absolutely. But most people do, because whenever you put on the camera and the mic, you got to also perform. You can't just be, I'm going to be my normal self the way I am with my friends and family or whatever it is. I'm just going to be that way when I come on camera. No, that's not going to work. You got to put a little bit more energy, put more pep in your step. So I totally get all of that. In terms of some of the other stuff about, he's really horrible with some of his takes, him becoming a Kendrick Perkins fan, I get it. He is right. Kendrick Perkins has been supporting the Knicks a lot. Jalen Brunson was making a case for MVP, but obviously now that they're losing games, it's going to be pretty hard for him to have that case. But this guy is speaking, I believe, from the standpoint of avid New York Knicks fan and a New Yorker, right? And that's how it is with New Yorkers, man. Like, that's how it is. Not everybody is built to play in that. It's a totally different thing, man. Like, New Yorkers, they're really passionate about the Knicks. I knew this guy I used to go to school with in high school and in art and design, and he was a huge Knicks. I mean, he had the hat, he had the jersey, he was a huge shoe. And there's some people like that. Spike Lee and all of that, he's not doing that to show. Like, he really about that Knick life. Like, that's his life. Like, so to me, man, I think it's just a Knick fan expressing his views on some of the things that he heard Stephen A. Smith say about his Knicks. So these are my thoughts. What I want to know from you guys, what do you think about what he had to say? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts in the comments, and we catch you guys on the next show. Peace.